Hey there, this is the Small Fish, Big Podcast, a show for the gallus few who dream and do. If you're a small biz owner, a creative freelancer, or someone dreaming about leaving your 9 to 5, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll chat with an inspiring guest who will share their entrepreneurship story before we delve into a discussion about running a creative business. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Small Fish, Big Podcast. Now, this is technically episode 2, but I must admit it feels like episode 1. This is the very first time that I am interviewing a guest for my podcast. If you listened to my very first episode that went live last week, you will know that I appeared solo for that one. Instead of having a guest on, I simply spoke about my own business journey. So technically this is episode 2, but it's my first time interviewing a guest, so go easy on me. I am joined today by my first ever guest, Abby Wallace. Abby is a graphic designer. She runs Abby Lou Designs, and she also runs my favorite podcast, Mind Your Business, which is all about Scottish creatives and business owners in this beautiful country. So it's great to have you here, Abby. I love that you're my first guest because yours was the first podcast I was ever on, so it made sense to have you first. And your podcast was the podcast that got me into podcasts, so thanks for that.
Oh my God, that's so good to hear. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honoured to be your first guest. So
exciting. Well, I really don't know what I'm doing, and Abby's a seasoned expert, so I think I'm a bit nervous about this one, to be honest, but we're going to give it a go. And I thought, Abby, we'd start out by talking about your business journey. So if you can kind of start from when you first realized that you might like to work for yourself or start your own business or chase a creative dream, and go right up to where you are now.
Amazing. Well, you know what, I was thinking when you asked me this, when I first wanted to have my own business, and I was so young. It was really, really early on. Obviously I didn't know what back then, but I always wanted to own a shop. I've always wanted to have a wee shop. I used to want to make jewellery. I remember when I was maybe 11 or 12, and I wanted to buy all the stuff off eBay to make my own jewellery and start a jewellery company, and I had it all priced out and I had everything ready to go. I never actually did that, I don't know why. But yeah, I've always wanted to do something, but I just never really knew what. And I've always been creative. I've always liked art and design and that sort of stuff for when I was really, really young. So after school, I went to uni, like you do. You kind of feel like you have to go. And I really hated it. I hated it so much. So it was called digital media that I did. So it was sort of a mixture between graphic design, photography, photo editing, video, stuff like that. But the thing that always stood out was the graphic design. That's always kind of what I went towards. So after that, I made it through. I don't know how, because I honestly hated it.
Well done.
From the very start, but I made it through, and I went and got a job, which I thought was going to be my dream job. I thought it was going to be the best thing ever, in an office doing marketing and some branding stuff and flyers and all that sort of stuff. And after a month, I got called into the office and told that they were going to let me go, and they didn't actually need me, and I got fired, basically. So that was kind of a tough one to swallow, and you think you're set, and then it all just kind of goes.
I think that's the tough thing too when you're just starting out in an industry, because you're so excited to get that first position, especially if you get one right out of school, because sometimes it takes a while. And I know what you mean. You think kind of oh, I'm set. This is what I want to do. I've got my job. I'm where I'm supposed to be. And then either something like that happens, a company of course, they're going to get rid of their newest people first if they have to do any kind of downsizing or kind of juggling things around a little bit, I guess, or you realize that it's actually not the job for you. I think most of us are kind of one way or the other with that.
Yeah, it was really, because it was a design job as well, it's hard not to take it personally and think oh, I'm obviously not good enough and I shouldn't have got a job straight from uni and I've not got the experience, sort of thing.
So did
So I
you
think
find that was that like a big confidence knock then? Did you feel quite down after that, or was it more just
yeah, yeah, really. I remember they said that they thought I should maybe go into an agency where I wasn't like the centre stage and could kind of get some experience and blend into like a team. And that's kind of always stuck with me. That really kind of knocked me when they said that. And yeah, I did have a few days where I was crying and feeling really horrible. But at that time, actually before that, when I was my last year of uni, I'd kind of started my design stuff. So I used to make like personalised prints. So like for anniversaries and birthdays and stuff, I used to do that, like with the word art sort of things. So I was selling them, not like just a few. I wasn't making money or anything, but I was doing that. And then when I lost that job, I kind of thought maybe I can pivot this a wee bit to more of the branding side of things and like logos and flyers and stuff. So I'd sort of started doing a wee bit when I got sacked, basically. But then really quickly I started applying for jobs just because I had that fear of like no being employed and no having the income. So I got a new job pretty straight away, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks later. And that was a nightmare. That was kind of sold to me as another one of those jobs like marketing, branding, flyers, all that sort of stuff. But it really quickly turned into just an admin role. And it was just bookkeeping, like customer answering phones, customer complaints, stuff like that. And in that job, I had the worst boss ever. It was just the horrible experience ever. I always worry that he's going to listen. I always talk about him and I'm like, what if he listens to this?
I know it's hard to be so open and honest about these things, but I think that probably happens quite a lot where when you get hired on in an entry-level position, especially in a creative industry, you're kind of expected, or at a lot of companies anyway, you're expected to do all that admin stuff, and it's almost like, well, you're the lowest on the totem pole and we need to get it done. So if they're not willing to hire someone, you do. And it's too bad because I think that would be really discouraging and that would put me off as well. Like nobody, well, some people do like to do that work and that's what they've decided to do. But if you go into a creative program and you want to be creative and then all of a sudden you get told 80% of your job is answering emails and answering the phone and once a week you can create a flyer or something, that's not fair.
That's totally what it was. It was just becoming more and more of the stuff that I didn't want to do, and I wasn't good at it because that's not what I wanted to do. So I was constantly like getting in trouble for doing things wrong or not how he wanted them, and it's not a good place to work. The rest of the people are amazing, but he makes it quite a horrible place to work. So I think I lasted maybe 8 or 9 months there. And as I was doing that, I was kind of doing the branding on the side. I was building that up and I was making, again, not a lot, but I was sort of building up a few clients at that point. Yeah, so there was one day I think I'd been pulled into a meeting with this guy and with a few other people, and he basically gave me this massive row about things that I never even done that wasn't even to do with me. It was someone else's job, but it was all getting put on me. And he was just really horrible and belittling, and it was awful. And that afternoon, he left, and I was just sitting at my desk, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. And the girl that I was friends with, she says, like, go home this afternoon, because I was like really upset, and she was like, go home and just come back tomorrow and you'll be fine. And I said to her, if I leave right now, I'm not going to come back. And she was like, no, you will, just go and like have a day. And I was like, okay, but I'm not coming back. And that was it. I never went back.
Good for you though. I mean, it's not good that you had that experience, but I think for so many of us, you do have an experience like that, and whether it's a horrible boss or a string of jobs in a row that are, just not the right fit, or you really just hate what you're doing. It takes so many guts to leave, because you're right. You do, like, you've got that security and that comfort, and it's scary to kind of go, well, what happens if I quit? Like, what if I just make a go of it? So good for you. It didn't take you long to realize.
No. Yeah. So I think it was that afternoon, I put my keys through the door and with a note saying I'm not coming back. That was it. So yeah, I left like I had nothing really set up, no savings, no anything. And that was when this all kind of started for real. That's when I really like kind of started to focus on the business. And yeah, that was my last proper job, and that was maybe 2 years ago now. I think it's been about 2 years.
So since then, that's been the last time you had a set job. Since then, you've just been kind of building up your own brand.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years this year, I think it'll be. So yeah, it's scary to start like, totally relying on yourself, money wise, but no, it's been amazing.
So walk us through your journey then from you leaving that job. So you said you kind of had a few clients on the go and you were slowly building it up, but you didn't have it wasn't an established business yet.
No.
So talk us through how you did that and what the process was like.
So when I left that job, I really started focusing on my website and trying to get some packages together, and kind of have something so when people go there, they have things to choose from and it's all professional looking. Because before it was kind of just message me on Facebook and I'll kind of do it through there. It was never a proper thing. So I got the website set up, and a few of my clients that I had from back when I was just doing it on the side, they kind of came back for more jobs. So they had maybe marketing materials, maybe they needed flyers, or they needed they starting a new business. So I had them to kind of build me up. And then I was just really networking on Facebook groups and stuff. A lot when you start out and you do the Fall Fridays and you try and find people looking for designers on these groups. So I done a lot of that, which is actually how I found quite a few. Through the Glasgow Girls Club, I actually found quite a few clients who are still clients now, way back in those early days. So yeah, it was just really reaching out to people, and that's all kind of went from there.
So did you find with the groups, because obviously there's loads of them, the Glasgow Girls Club one is great because there's so many people in it and it's quite an active group. And there's lots of kind of smaller ones and ones that are more certain neighborhoods or communities. Do you find that you had more luck when you were responding to requests for graphic design and branding, or were you kind of being a bit more, I don't know if proactive is the right word, but kind of just posting your own stuff and saying, hey, this is what I do, this is what's available? What did you find worked better for you?
I think I maybe did get a few through people asking and me kind of reaching out and being hi, I can do that for you. But not as many. I think more probably came from me putting out either my name, and one of my biggest clients she'd just seen my name on a Follow Friday, and she must have went through and seen all my stuff, and she saved that for later. And then when she was ready to do her branding, months down the line, she thought of me. So I think a lot have been through that, and through me maybe posting a few new projects and then people seeing that, rather than because I think when people post on those pages, they do get inundated with a lot of people being oh, I can help you, and they get a lot of different people coming at them at a lot of different price points. And I was kind of finding that the people who are charging really low prices, which is good for them, you can charge whatever you want obviously, but it was kind of making me and other people who are charging maybe the going rate, making us look a bit worse. So I did find that on a lot of those Facebook groups, people were wanting something for nothing and they weren't willing to invest. So I think that's that one to watch out for when you're doing that.
I think what's really hard too is obviously in any industry there is, you're saying, a range of prices, and you get kind of the middle ground or the going rate, and then you get the people that are doing it really, really cheap. Maybe they're just starting out, or maybe they only do it part-time and they're not relying on the income, they don't have as many expenses. Then you get people that are kind of in the high price range who have either been doing it for a really long time or really established, or maybe they've got higher business expenses because they have a big fancy studio and a big printer and all of that. So I think the tough thing about it is, if you don't know anything about the industry, so I don't know anything about graphic design. If I'm looking for a graphic designer and I see somebody charging £1,000, somebody charging 500, somebody charging 2, personally, I'd probably be more comfortable in the middle, because I always have that thing in my head, if somebody's too cheap, there's a reason for it. Unless they're starting out, which is totally understandable. And then at the top end, I might wonder, what more am I getting? Compared to the middle, if I didn't know anything about the industry. And I think that's the hard part, is that most people don't know about other people's industries, especially creative ones, and they don't know what the going rate is. So unless they're actually taking time to do their research and kind of look, okay, I've got 4 quotes and these two are kind of in the middle, I'm going to decide between them, they kind of just go,